Is Einstein wrong? Is relativity wrong? As Zeeper has been trying to convince the world into believing in his fundamental model of theory of everything, which is a singular theory that connects the four forces of the universe. He believes that gravity, light, time, and electromagnetic waves are parts of the same thing or faces of the same coin. And he also believes that space is a plane of electrons. Through this podcast,
So you have a theory that disproves Einstein's theory of relativity. Could you elaborate on your theory of gravity, please?
Okay, this it's like it is so simple that that's I mean, once the world understands this, they they'll just be shocked at how simple it is. Okay, so do you see this? You see this screen here, this equation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. The problem is that c, which represents the velocity of light, is not acceptable in a physics equation because it is not reduced to its core values of acceleration times time. Okay?
Okay.
Here is a very simple explanation. If an equation is 3 cherries times 4 bananas times 7, what Einstein did is he covered up these essential elements of the equation and just simply said fruit times 7. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm. So
Because
a small
because
question
this
over here.
because this c, which represents velocity, in reality, that c is the orbit time of the earth multiplied by the acceleration of gravity. That is the true c. This is the true velocity, but it's the velocity of gravity, not the velocity of light.
I have a small question over here.
Sure.
Okay, so you are saying that Einstein's universal equation equals mc square. In that the c part is wrong, and it should be written as acceleration into time. Okay. Uh,
Correct.
but then, so if Earth's mass was different, let's say, right? Then the acceleration of gravity, according to you, wouldn't be 9.8, right?
Correct.
But the orbit time would be the same, because like the distance between Earth and the Sun can change as well, right? So we can have a different orbit time and a different acceleration of gravity. But then wouldn't that change the entire universal equation itself? So are you implying that Einstein's theory of relativity or the conversion between mass and energy relies only on the mass and the orbit time of Earth?
Um, this this product of orbit time and acceleration of gravity is relative. If the orbit time slows down, then you're going to have a different acceleration of gravity. That's what's determining your velocity of gravity. This When you apply this true equation, what happens is that mass does not mass is not equivalent to energy. It's the uh, we're gonna have to I'll have to come back to that. Uh, What other question do you have, or do you want to say that a question again?
Okay. So, acceleration of gravity, I'm saying that it can change as per the mass of the planet, right? Let's say Earth's mass was different, right? And
Right.
obviously the orbit would change as well, but then it can still have the same orbit time. For example, Venus has an orbit time of 88 days, and its acceleration of gravity is much much smaller. So why does the speed of light depend on this multiplication of Earth but not Venus? Isn't it a universal equation?
No, no, it's definitely universal. The speed of light is not a constant. That's the problem. Einstein turned it into a constant by using velocity instead of acceleration times time. The uh, the speed of light and the speed of gravity are dependent on the orbit time of the planet. If you, first of all, you have to understand that you see what like what we have to do is we have to go back to basics and what we have to make our definitions of things understandable first. Okay. um, the first thing is that gravity is not a warp in space. Space is exactly like air or water. You've seen a man walking in space. Space is exactly like air or water. And you cannot warp air and you cannot warp water and you cannot warp space. It's absolutely impossible to warp space. So that's number one. That's warped space is like the biggest farce since snake oil. Um, Gravity is the flow of protons into the earth. It's an electrical flow. You've seen images of the earth in space. It's in a helix orbit. The sun is traveling through space, and Earth is orbiting the sun. But because of that travel, the orbit is an actual helix, and that orbit is an electrical orbit where the Earth is in an electrical wave, and the sun is a proton. The Earth is an electron. The orbit time of the Earth, the distance, that is the physical definition of the electrical volt. And so the Earth is simply in an electrical orbit, and that electrical orbit causes protons to flow into the Earth. It's very, very simple. And that's what constitutes gravity. Now, those protons flowing into the Earth, that is also light, but we can't see it because it's moving too fast. And so um, we need to get our definitions correct first of what things are, like gravity and
Hmm.
all this. And so this electrical orbit is a completely relative uh, scenario, and it's the density of the Earth which determines how fast the orbit is, and then that speed of orbit is what determines how quickly the protons flow into the Earth. And so, whether it's Venus or Mercury, they're all going to be the same. This velocity of the flow of gravity is going to determine the acceleration of gravity on the planet. It's very simple. can see this image here: gravity, magnetism, electricity, time, and light. These are all very simply determined by the flow of protons into the Earth.
So, where are these protons coming from?
From the fabric of space. As the Earth orbits the Sun, the magnetic field of the Earth cuts electrons from the fabric of space, and then the enormous pressure of space pushes those protons into the Earth, and then they become the mass of the Earth.
Okay. And how is light and electricity getting into this?
Okay, here is your very simple. I'll go to this image first here.
Could you like full screen the thing?
Sorry?
Could you full screen like the image so it's like more visible to the viewers, please?
I can't hear you very well.
Could you like full screen the image?
Oh, okay.
The one beside it, yes.
Okay. So, very simply, magnetism.
Now, one
That's
more thing. Could you like
pardon?
there's the button beside stop sharing, right? The minus button. Could you click on that, please? So like this thing goes away. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, the first thing that protons flowing into the Earth, the first thing that creates is gravity. It's pushing us down onto the Earth. The second thing the flow of protons into the Earth creates is magnetism. When you alter the atomic lattice of a piece of metal by applying electricity to it, it changes the atomic structure so that gravity can flow through that metal in only one direction. That's what happens when you change the atomic lattice of a piece of metal with electricity. You change the atom structure so that gravity, protons flowing into the Earth, now move through this piece of metal in only one direction. And that is the simple and absolute definition of magnetism. Magnetism is gravity flowing through a piece of metal. And you can see here the protons are coming out of this magnet, and these are electrons coming, or this is an electromagnetic wave coming off of this combustion flame, and you can simply see that the protons coming out of the magnet push against the flame. And if you go back to this image here, you can simply see that the flow of protons through these magnets creates the three different forces of magnetism. When they're both flowing at in the same direction, you get an attraction. When you turn the magnet around, the protons collide into each other, and you get repulsion on those magnets. And then if you have south to south against each other, again, you have repulsion. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. There couldn't be anything more simple. But today, they think that magnetism uh, stems from some type of electrical uh,
Wave.
positive or negative within the atoms of the metal, which is absolutely false. Magnetism is simply the flow of gravity through that piece of metal. So, unless we have all these, let me reduce this quickly. unless we have all of these definitions fully understood, a person can be so lost in, in Einstein's error because it's causing enormous confusion.
Okay. Um. So what? So do you know about gravitational lensing?
Um, sure, yeah.
So basically, uh, according to Einstein's theory of relativity, uh, the space time is curved around anything massive, right? So
Right.
around stars, it's curved according to the theory. But then it has been realistically proved that we can see objects behind the star as the light that's coming through curves around the star in front and then reaches the earth. So, what is your opinion on this process?
Okay. Uh, Number one, stars only emit an electromagnetic wave.
But then,
Just a
how are
second.
we able to like see the objects behind these stars?
Just one second. Okay. Are you able to see this screen?
Yes.
Here's your star. Stars only emit an electromagnetic wave. Over here in the atmosphere of the Earth, you have protons reflecting at near zero friction. All around us, there are protons reflecting at near zero friction. This electromagnetic wave is what you see these protons reflecting off of this electromagnetic wave. That is how you see a star.
Okay.
There's no such thing as light coming off of. See,
So, do you believe that light is not an electromagnetic wave?
no, they are two separate things. Do you see this? This is your wave particle duality right here. It's very simple. The only thing coming off of a star is an electromagnetic wave. This is your protons flowing into the earth causing gravity. When those two combine, you feel heat, and so this star is emitting zero light and zero heat. Only when this wave coming off of the star strikes the gravity that is flowing down through us, that is when you get heat. That's how you feel the heat of the sun.
Okay, so I have two small questions for you. Okay. The first one is what is quantum mass, and the second one is that Earth also has mass, right? It also emits gravity, obviously, and according to you, it also emits protons. So there are two bodies, a star and a planet, both emitting protons at each. Wouldn't they repel?
No, we have to go back. We have to get our basic understanding straight. Okay, this is the fabric of space right here.
Okay.
These are electrons.
Okay.
As the Earth orbits the sun,
Mhm.
the magnetic field of the Earth cuts these electrons free from the fabric of space. Right now, this is what is happening in space as the Earth's as the sun is combusting, causing this electromagnetic wave. Okay?
Okay.
This is not light. This is simply the sun causing the electromagnetic wave to travel through space.
Okay.
Light is the simple, straightforward motion of protons. When protons reflect off of any surface into your eye, they are transmitting that information from that surface. Whatever colors, whatever atomic structure is on that surface, the proton transfers that information from the surface into your eye. So light, when you see light, you are only seeing protons flowing into your eyes. That is completely separate from the electromagnetic wave.
Okay. So,
What was your question?
my question was, first of all, what is quantum mass in the equation that you showed earlier?
Quantum mass is the electron.
Is it the name of the electron or like the mass of the electron?
It's just the electron, it's mass.
Okay.
An electron is mass. Okay, you see on the screen here. This is the fabric of space. And the equation to the fabric of space is MAZ, mass times acceleration times time. And that's what this is on the screen right here. Mass being accelerated and having a factor of time. So, when the mass and the acceleration, when the electron is cut free from this fabric of space and pushed down onto the Earth, as soon as this electron is cut free from this fabric of space and starts to move into the Earth, it changes from being an electron to being a proton. It's an electron right now because it's just M mass, but when it's cut free and starts to accelerate into the Earth, it turns into a proton because the equation becomes Ma. So it changes from an M to Ma. Now it's a pushing proton into the Earth, which is a force causing gravity and the force of magnetism. And because light is protons moving into your eyes,
Mhm.
as soon as this electron is cut free and becomes a proton, it turns into light. Here is a let me try to get this
Um,
image for you.
a small question: how does the electron convert into a proton?
It's just a matter of as soon as it's the same thing as when you rub sticks together, how do they turn into flame?
Oxid?
It's
No.
the exact same thing.
Uh,
An electron is simply An electron is simply a combusting, a proton is simply a combusting electron.
Wait, so what is your definition of combusting over here?
The definition of combustion:
Yeah, in this case.
mass multiplied by acceleration.
Combustion in chemistry is oxidation. Basically, when something reacts with oxygen, you get combustion. So, an electron combusting into a proton is not exactly sensible.
Well, we'll have to do another conversation about that.
Okay, so how would you define time?
You want to know the definition of time. Time is created by protons flowing into the earth. The same thing that causes gravity, magnetism, electricity, and light. And there's four aspects of time. You can see this here. Number one, protons flowing into the earth drive absolutely every type of clock on earth. No matter what type of clock it is, they are all originating from protons flowing into the earth. If you have a now hold on, I gotta get in. Can you see the? Can you see this image?
Yeah, could you like make it,
Sorry,
please make it full screen.
make it bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, here's all your different types of clocks: sundial, hourglass, water clock, pendulum, mechanical clock, quartz clock, electric clock, atomic clock. Every one of those are driven by the flow of protons into the earth. The pressure of space and the electromagnetic wave coming off the sun is what causes the earth to rotate and orbit. So there's your number one definition of time. An hourglass, the sand is being pushed down by gravity, protons flowing into the earth. Water clock, a pendulum clock, is simply mass being pushed down while being transformed into pendulum motion. A mechanical clock is driven by springs, which is simply quantum tension at the atomic tension at the quantum level. It causes, a spring is nothing other than uh, your electron orbit moving up and down. A quartz clock, electric clock, atomic clock, they're all driven by protons flowing into the earth.
I
So,
think you missed one. So Einstein proposed these clocks that would basically be photons going from one end to the other, like up and down, in a confined space. Like let's say I know the width of the box, like I know this length, and the photon is going up and down, reflecting off, and every time it reflects off, we see how much time it takes for it to come back or detect it. and based on that you can calculate how much time has passed. So what is your opinion on that? How does that require this definition?
Um, I'm not sure on that one actually. Let's just go over these four. Let's work on that later. Okay, let's go through these four things here.
Okay.
So, protons flowing into the Earth drive every type of clock on Earth. Number two, the velocity of those protons divided by the acceleration of the protons gives you the very uh, value of time. Velocity divided by acceleration gives you time. Number three, the pressure of space, the origin of those protons flowing into the Earth is gravity. We went over this one already. That's causing the rotation of the Earth and the orbit of the Earth. And then the uh, the fourth one is that we know that time ages the human body, and Einstein was correct when he said that time is equivalent to gravity. And it's those protons flowing down through us, causing gravity, that is destroying the cells of our body, causing us to age. So, because time is equivalent to gravity, and they are both the flow of protons down through us, it's very simple that time causes us to age because gravity is causing us to age. So, these are the four different aspects of time.
Okay.
Would you agree that when you have multiple circumstantial evidence, like I've just given you four aspects of time, all coinciding together, uh, in your mind, does that not produce?
I am afraid I have a different definition of time, so I would actually disagree with it. But I think when it comes to abstract things like time, I believe I prefer more of a philosophical approach over a physical approach. Also, I do have one more question. You mentioned that velocity should be expressed as acceleration into time since they are the core components, right? Now, this is a lesser known fact, I guess, but so acceleration is the rate of change of velocity, right? Like that, there's a physical quantity called as jerk, which is the rate of change of acceleration. So why wouldn't you write acceleration as jerk into time as well? I mean, that would be the core component of the core component, right? So wouldn't that give you like a better value?
Uh, I'll have to look into that. You say what's the give me the jerk is the change is the rate of change of acceleration.
Yeah.
So meters per second cubed, is that what it is?
Yes.
And why don't we take it to the fourth, meters per second to the fourth power? We
Yeah,
can
there are
keep on.
like 8 derivatives for this. I mean, there are values. I don't remember their names, but then yeah, why wouldn't we do that? I mean, if you're already breaking velocity into bits, then why wouldn't you break the whole thing into bits?
Because same thing when you're counting, you can go from three down to zero, and then you can go into the negative direction. Why would you want to keep on going when zero is the base? You know. We want base elements, and the base is acceleration times time. That's the foundation.
How do you know that? How do you know that acceleration is the base?
Because we're dealing with velocity.
Yes, but later you're dealing with acceleration, so
Like
this would be the base.
the base the base of 4 is 2 times 2. If you want to say 2.3 times 2, 1.98, like, do you understand what you're 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 going into semantics that's ridiculous.
I mean, why do we have to break velocity into acceleration into time in the first place?
Because it's the elemental structure of the universe.
Well, the elemental structure of acceleration is jerk into time, technically.
Well, if you want to play those mathematical games, you have every right to.
Okay, and the other question that I had about magnetism is that you're implying that gravity is basically magnetism, right? So wouldn't that make some aspects of gravity a repulsive force?
Yes, the sun is repulsive gravity. The sun is outward flow gravity. The earth is inward flow gravity. The sun is a proton, the earth is an electron. The sun is a positive charge, the earth is a negative charge. That's why the protons flow into the earth. Gravity is magnetism, a
Okay.
proton flowing into an electron.
And what factor determines whether a body is, in your case study, uh, a proton or an electron? Like,
Sorry, say that
what
again.
what factors ensure that the entirety of the body is positively charged or negatively charged in this case? Like, you say that sun is positively charged, right? And there would be another star with a positive charge. So, are you implying that these two stars would repel each other?
The very fundamental aspect of charge is gravity. Gravity flowing into a planet gives that particle a negative charge. That's what the definition of a negative particle is: inward flowing gravity. Outward flowing gravity is a particle with positive charge. The sun has outward flowing gravity. The sun is a proton. The sun is a positive charged particle.
Yeah, I agree. Let's say let's say sun is a positively charged particle, okay, or a body, a positively charged body. Now there would be some other star in the universe which would also be positively charged, right?
Yeah,
So,
another star.
yes. So are you implying that the gravity between these two would be repulsive?
Yes, protons repel each other.
But in binary star systems, two stars are bounded by gravity. So what is your opinion on that?
Gravity is not. Um, you understand that the sun does not pull on the planets. Now we have to go back to our definitions again. Number one definition of the universe is that there is no such thing as a pulling force in the universe. This universe only has pushing forces. Newton proved that to us with his F equals ma. When a car starts moving, where is the force? Is it on the side of the car? Is it on the back of the car? Or is it on the front of the car?
If it's on the front, it's a pulling force. If it's on the back, it's a pushing force.
No. There's no such thing as a pulling force in the universe. F equals ma declares that there is only a force when the mass pushes. Because the pressure of space is the strong force holding all atoms together, when you pull on a rope, the pressure of space is simply pushing those atoms together, causing the car to move. Everything is a pushing force. And so, getting back to the sun and the planets are not held in their orbit around the sun due to the sun's gravity. That's absolutely false. The planets are held in their orbit via their density relative to the pressure coming off of the electromagnetic wave of the sun and the outlying back pressure of space. The planets are held in their orbit via a pushing force. And so when you're talking about getting back to protons repelling each other, uh, go ahead and ask your question again.
Yeah, in binary charge systems, we have two positively charged bodies that should technically repel each other, but they still have pulling forces of what Einstein called gravity between them.
Yeah, well, that's absolutely false. Those stars would be repelling each other, but yet held together by the pressure of space. The whole idea of pulling gravity is absolutely false.
So your theory states that space is full of protons, right?
Electrons.
Oh, sorry, yeah, my bad. So you are implying that space itself has a charge.
Space has charge. No, only particles can have charges.
And space is made of electrons, and electrons are charged particles.
Well, if you want to say that space overall has a negative charge, feel free. I haven't come to that conclusion yet.
So we can technically use space as uh, as electricity because it has a negative charge and it has electrons. We can somehow, with a little energy input, convert those electrons into moving electrons and then get electricity. Is that correct?
No, electricity. Uh, Let me see if I can find here. Are you able to see this on the screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Electricity is equivalent to energy, which is equivalent to mass times velocity squared. MAZ is space. In order to get electricity, you have to multiply that by another factor of velocity. When these protons are flowing down into the Earth as gravity, right here, here is your Ma flowing down into the Earth as gravity. When this rotor turns, it adds the factor of distance multiplied against that flow of gravity, which causes Ma multiplied by Az squared to give you the complete energy equation, and you get electricity. It's very, very simple. And I'm actually astounded that people cannot see this so plain and clear. Does this not make sense to you?
Not really.
Not really. You see this Ma here? Protons flowing down into the Earth? They're pushing you down as gravity. They're flowing through this atomically aligned metal, causing magnetism. They
Wait, if
they push against the turning rotor to give you electricity.
through that
And
logic, wait,
And
small
these
question.
protons also are causing time that are flowing into the Earth. And these
Gravity.
protons are also causing light. It's so very, very simple. Protons flowing into the Earth causes magnetism, electricity, time, and light. This is called the unification of gravity with electricity, what Einstein was looking for the last 20 years of his life.
Gravity.
You are looking at what Einstein strived for the last 20 years of his life. You are looking at it right now.
Hear me out. Gravity flows in through all the metals that are present on the earth, right? So why is it that only some of them
Some
are?
no, some metals, it all depends on the atomic structure. It all depends on the atomic structure. That's why aluminum's not magnetic. It's very simple. It has a different atomic structure that doesn't allow gravity to flow in one direction. That's like, this is so simple. Come on, I can't believe you cannot see this. Do you
I'm not
see
I'm not ready
you
to believe
see
that
these,
space is
you
not a
see
vacuum.
these magnets here? There's two magnets right here. Gravity is flowing through them in one direction because of how they were altered via electricity. When they ran electricity through them to change those pieces of metal into a magnet, that's because now gravity is able to flow through them in one direction.
Yes, but
Come on,
then
this is so simple.
I'm just not ready to believe that space is not a vacuum and it consists of negatively charged electrons.
Of course, space is not a vacuum. How can an electromagnetic wave travel through space if it was a vacuum?
Electromagnetic waves have the property of traveling through space or vacuums. Like it's been proven. Like basically they pressurize, like they use pressure to take gas out of a cylinder, and then they let light flow through it, and it absolutely worked.
Okay, first of all, anytime scientists are talking about creating light to travel through something, 90% of the time they're only dealing with the electromagnetic wave. They think like when you see this flashlight here, people think that light is coming out of that flashlight. There's absolutely zero light coming out of that flashlight. There is only an electromagnetic wave coming out of that flashlight, and the protons that are reflecting around us at near zero friction are striking that electromagnetic wave, causing those protons to brighten and enter your eye as light. So coming out of this flashlight is absolutely zero light. And can you understand how that would cause confusion in the scientific world? People think that light is coming out of that flashlight when it absolutely is not. That would probably cause a lot of confusion, correct? Am I correct in saying that?
That would cause confusion, but
Yeah,
clearly
exactly. And so, unless we get our basic understanding straight, we're just going to be running around in circles. Now, getting back to space, do you see this soccer ball beside the astronaut?
okay, yeah.
If that soccer ball was a rock, it would be pushing space apart. And the void that rock causes because it's pushing space apart is the definition of energy. There is no energy inside the rock. The rock is simply pushing space apart. That's where your energy comes from. And so when the fabric of space, which is nothing but a lattice of electrons, when that is pushed apart, that is called an electric potential. And in any circuit, any electrical circuit, the circuit is simply space contracting back and pushing the electrons into an electrical wave of electricity. And that's the exact reason why, and they're just starting to understand this now, in any electrical current, the energy is in the fields, not in the wires. Because the energy is coming from space contracting back. Can you understand that?
Yes.
That is very simple as well. And so, in order for space to contract back, it has to be made of something. It cannot be just a void. Is that your belief? Do you honestly believe that space is a pure absolute vacuum?
Apart from random particles that come in and out, I believe that space is a vacuum because that would allow Newton's gravitational formulas to work better. Because if space has matter, then that matter would impact gravity and Newton's theory would absolutely fail.
No, 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 no. You're still not understanding about. Let me try to get a planet here first. Do you see this Earth orbiting the sun?
Yes.
If the protons are flowing into the Earth causing gravity, there's no connection between two planets. There's no gravitational connection. Surely you can understand that.
But realistically, planets do have gravitational connections.
Sorry, what has gravitational connection?
Like Jupiter's gravity has a great impact on Earth, for example.
Well, see, again, you're not understanding. The moon does not cause tides. The tides are caused by the electromagnetic wave coming off of the sun. The EM wave coming off of the sun is a pushing force. That's what's causing your tides.
Okay, I get that part, but like, hear me out. According to you, planets are negatively charged and they absorb in gravity, right? Now, what if there are two planets? Would they not have gravitational impacts on each other at all?
The the only the only effect would be a a, a, uh, a force of repulsion, because you've got opposing, like, two negative charges oppose each other. That's
Okay,
the only gravitational connection, is that those two planets would oppose each other.
okay. So you just said two negatively charged particles oppose each other, right?
Right.
Okay. Now hear me out. So and you also said that light is not an electromagnetic wave, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
They're two.
Now,
The EM wave and light are two separate, completely separate entities.
okay. Now hear me out. Do you believe that light is carried by photons?
Light is carried by what?
Photon. Oh, never mind. You believe that their light is protons, right?
Right. There's no such thing as a photon. That's a completely
Okay.
fairy tale creation by false physics.
Okay. So, how do you think a positively charged particle repels a positively charged particle? Like they repel. We know that experimentally, right? But then,
Yes,
yeah.
it's
But
very
then,
it's very simple. The electromagnetic wave coming off of a positive charged particle repels,
but why?
because if you go into the deeper physics, the MA is can also be transferred into frequency multiplied by electron. It's very, like, I'll have to show you that at another time. There there's an EM wave coming off of the sun, but there is also electrons coming off of the sun. But anyway, it's simply the EM wave that opposes.
No, my question is between two protons, right? There will be repulsion. Okay. But then, what is it that's carrying the force of repulsion? According to physics, it's according to the standard model particle or quantum physics, it's photons which carry electromagnetic waves, which carries the force of repulsion. How would you
Well,
explain?
if you change the word photon into proton, that's very simple. Let's just do that.
So, are
And
you
so,
implying that are you implying that protons carry the force of repulsion between protons?
yes, protons, protons have an outward flow gravity that
Why?
is
How? That's my question. Like, what carries the outward flow gravity?
okay. That's another very basic thing that we didn't go over. A proton, or the sun, is mass turning into space, and the earth is space turning into mass. They are completely diametrically opposite. Okay? The earth is the fabric of space flowing into the earth, mass. And the sun is mass flowing into space, the exact opposite of each other. Can you comprehend that?
No, not exactly.
When you burn a candle, where is the mass going? Because the candle disappears. Where's the mass going?
The atmosphere, it burns, and the carbon converts to carbon dioxide, which is a gas which goes into the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, if you go to a deeper level, though the mass of the candle is turning into the fabric of space. And with Earth gravity, the fabric of space is turning into the Earth. And
Again,
so,
combustion is when something reacts with oxygen.
well, that's one definition, but there's a deeper definition.
Yeah, could you give me the definition? Like, what
The
do you mean when
definition,
you say
yes,
combustion?
it's very simple. You're looking at this image here, right? This image right here. The
Yeah.
sun is mass turning into space. The
How?
Earth, be, because of because it's breaking down.
Okay, so
It's turning.
mass is
It's it's turning into. Let me write it down here for you. If you take the MA of the sun is a proton. MA, mass times acceleration. That can be broken down into AZ, which is the electromagnetic wave. I wish I could write this on the screen for you, but you can just take a pen and paper and write it down. AZ multiplied by M multiplied by frequency gives you MA, which is the sun. MA can be broken down into electromagnetic wave multiplied by mass multiplied by frequency. That's what the sun is doing, breaking down into the three components: the electromagnetic wave, AZ, multiplied by the electrons of the fabric of space, which is M, multiplied by 1 over Z, which is frequency. AZ times M times 1 over Z equals MA. The sun breaking down into three components.
okay. So I'll be honest, I still don't agree with you completely because of the various things that you could not explain. Uh,
Well, the reason you don't agree is because you're denying pure mathematics. I just gave you pure mathematics.
you couldn't explain binary star systems, and you couldn't explain photoelectric effects. You couldn't explain. Wait, I forgot the name. You couldn't explain how the pressure works on different positively charged particles, and how the force of how the force between two charged or ionized bodies can be transferred, which is according to classical mechanics or quantum mechanics, through photons or the particles of uh, light. Anyway, however, I think the viewers would have gotten a pretty good idea of your theory or your model. So, if you would like to add on something, this would be the time, and I think we should move on towards the conclusion now.
Okay, yeah. EinsteinError.com.
We'll put the
Make
link in the description.
make sure you have a look at that. That explains everything. And I've got, what's that noise? I have I have 15-year old students in Kashmir who look at this and they can see it so plain and so clear. No, sorry, 13 years old. He's very excellent at mathematics, so he might have an edge on you there. But the fact that a 13-year-old in Kashmir can look at this and see it 100%, uh, that's got to say something.
Okay, then I think that is it for the session. And I will put the link to einsteinera.com in the description. Please do check that out and share the feedback with me, and I'll forward it with Al. Thank you so much for viewing.